Good morning, welcome to TERRA at Home. We have Derek back from Aquascape, and so we're talking about taking care of that water system that you do have in your yard, whether it be the smallest little tiniest thing to the biggest. You
Right.
have to be on top of it.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. We always talk about the ecosystem, right? So the best way to maintain a pond is to build it right from the start.
Okay.
So, right, it's our 5-part recipe when we're building an Aquascape pond. You can go into the water garden department there at TERRA, and they'll explain you what the 5-part recipe is. But it's fish, plants, and rocks and gravel that lives. It's beneficial bacteria living in the pond on the rocks and gravel, and then we have circulation, keep the water moving, and filtration. So a 5-part recipe, no matter if it's a pond. Like one of those little patio ponds that you can sit on your deck, or the size of a lake, we always use that 5-part recipe and just change the formula accordingly.
Because when you mentioned fish, I know fish are beneficial, but I actually didn't realize that they're actually part of the plant.
Right.
So I thought they're a visual, and I know that they do great things, but I didn't know that really that is part of the plant.
And it's a common misconception. They're like, you know what, I want it easier to maintain, so I'm going to leave the fish out. But they're an essential part of that ecosystem. They feed as a circle, part of that circle of life.
Yeah.
And you don't have to overdo it. You don't have to have tons and tons of fish, but some fish in the system certainly is necessary.
Because I can imagine if you have too many fish, it would throw it off too, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Because I've seen some where they've like multiplied like no tomorrow, and people are like, I'm overrun with fish.
Yeah, our rule of thumb is 1 inch of fish per 100 gallons of water. So if I had 1,000 gallons of water, I could have 100 inches of fish.
Oh.
So 25-inch fish or 5 20-inch fish.
Okay.
Or I always make the joke, 1 100-inch fish that just sits in the middle of the pond, doesn't have room to turn
But
around.
of course, the TERRA has your fish too, so you can get all of it here. So that's the great part is that all 5 of those can be filled in one visit, and you're good to go.
Right.
So starting from again from your basics, again following all of those, what's first?
Well, they all kind of get built at the same time.
Right.
We're setting up the circulation and the filtration.
Right.
And the folks at TERRA can help you do that. You can go to our website and aquascapeinc.com, and there's lots of videos that kind of walk you through it. But in our system, you always have a skimmer on one end and a falls at the other. The falls is where the filter is, and we keep all the water circulating and filtering that way. And then in the middle, the fish and the plants and the rocks and gravel. And now to keep that system kind of fed and working correctly, I talked about the amount of fish. You want an appropriate amount of plants as well. And the beneficial bacteria is sold in little bottles like this one here.
Yeah.
So really easy squirt containers, 1 squirt per 100 gallons. And you do that on a weekly basis. And if you do this proactively, you're going to find the amount of maintenance is dramatically reduced. Now, having said that, most of our guests don't end up doing it.
Really?
Proactively. They wait until there's a problem, and then they come in and they say, okay, my water's turning green. What can I do to
once they see it actually change before them, then they're like, uh-oh. But you know, I think it's just like anything to do, obviously, with water, whether it's a pool or a hot tub or whatever it may be. If you have a system and you kind of just have a pattern going, weekly, monthly, whatever it may be, whatever you need to do, then it's just sort of you get used to having to do it, right? So you get knowing that you have to put this in.
Yeah.
You know,
and it couldn't be simpler. It's really 10, 20 seconds of work. It's not a lot. But
you can get people to do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of people can do it for you as well. We do have products for the people that don't follow that kind of proactive system of maintenance. We have stuff, you'll see it called Rapid Clear, and basically if I've got company coming over tomorrow and I've got
let's fix it.
Murky water, it works really quickly to just clump all the organic particulate in the water. So if it's kind of cloudy with dirt or cloudy with little bits of algae, it'll kind of clump it together, sink it in a big heap. Water will be crystal clear temporarily. Rapid Clear.
Quick fix.
Then we've got, if you've got sludge at the bottom of the pond, we've got sludge control. So very easy to remember.
So sludge is exactly what?
You know, pond scum, you know, commonly referred to. That literally
that's what I was thinking.
So fish waste, little bits of dead plants that are decaying at the bottom accumulate into you know, a sludgy mess.
Just to kind of,
and you know, to get a little bit scientific, it's heterotrophic bacteria that you squirt in there, and it actually has enzymes and it actively consumes.
Just eats it.
eats it up. So that stuff's, and it's natural and it's safe for the fish and plants.
Okay.
Then we have other products like this pond and debris clarifier, which you should follow the directions carefully. Don't use too much because it actually kills the algae on contact. Squirt it right in the pond. It's a new product for 2013 at Aquascape. Extremely effective for killing algae.
But could hurt your
Safe
fish,
for
right?
fish and plants. Well, kind of, I always say it's like an aspirin. 1 or 2 aspirin, will cure your headache. A whole bottle of aspirin, not a good idea.
Right.
Same thing with
so
the.
you know if your fish is flipped over at the top, you put a little too much in.
Yeah, that's
so stay on top of that one. Okay.
Yeah. The other thing, if you've got a kind of ongoing string algae problem, string algae is really that green hairy stuff that grows off the rocks. We have a product called EcoBlast there that you can sprinkle it on, and again, it eats the algae, it controls it that way. Or over the last couple of years, we've started using this electronic solution. So for the people that just get tired of even doing that 20 seconds of maintenance every week and sprinkling little bits of stuff into the pond to control the string algae, you can actually hook this ion gen system up onto the pond, and it releases little copper ions into water, very, very minute quantities, but enough to break down algae, and kind of plug it in.
Oh, wow. And it's a gadget, so some people really love the gadget thing because everything's laid out for them, and they kind of, it's very visual, right? So they know what they're dealing with.
You can control the amount of the strength of the system. You can turn it up or down. There is a little replacement probe that you'll replace every year or two, but that's another solution that will kind of keep your water clean and clear, get rid of that string algae, and kind of stop you from having to use quite so many chemicals.
Now, again, of course, we know as we're talking, we're going through all this, you don't want people to panic and say, oh my God, that just seems like there's so much work, and it just seems like I couldn't maintain it. It's really actually not that difficult.
No.
We're just presenting all of this to you because of the possibilities,
absolutely,
right? If you don't stay on top of things, sure.
Again, you build the right system from the beginning with the 5-part recipe and proactive maintenance. You're going to find that the pond is extremely easy to maintain, clean and clear all the time, and ready to enjoy.
Now, with certain ponds and streams and things like that, does it depend on the climate you're living in as well? I mean, obviously we're gearing around Southern Ontario here right now, but I mean, if you're getting really high temperatures as well, then your water's going to be warmer, and then of course you're going to be dealing possibly with algae
and you'll plant accordingly, the different types of plants, of course, the different zones, different types of fish you can introduce as well. The concept of circulation and filtration is the same, but yeah, absolutely, you can change for different climates.
Okay, so 5-part system, so you can come into TERRA, talk to everybody here, and they'll set you up on that 5-part system. And don't forget the fish; they're not only attractive, but of course in the plant life too, which is fun to pick.
Yeah,
absolutely. And again, get some color in there, and some, again, it's all about the overall atmosphere, and that's really what this is about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Derek. Thank you so much. Some good information. So again, all this can be found here at TERRA. We'll be back with more TERRA at Home after this.
Where color lives. You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Heritage perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're now in the TERRA kitchen, and we're here with Marci Prebianca from Marci's Bakery. Thank you so much for coming on our show, Marci.
My pleasure.
So you've brought all your yummy goodies, and what's really interesting about these goodies is all of what's missing from them. That's key to so many people nowadays. And people, we're talking about gluten is one key ingredient.
Yes.
There's so many people now have an intolerance to.
Yes.
And some people who don't even have to go gluten-free choose to because of how it makes us feel.
Yes.
Right? So let's go back to your history a little bit. You've been baking for a very long time.
Yes, yes. We started the business in 1989, and we were a retail business, and we sold at the Hamilton Farmers Market, and we had a location on James Street South.
Very successful. I remember from years ago, and in Goodness Me. And
yes, many stores in the area, but we also had 3 locations in Hamilton, Burlington, so a lot of fun, a lot of activity, lots of wonderful people in and out the door. And fast forwarding, in 2000, we ended the business for a season, had a small tragedy in our family, and I stayed at home and had our 4th child. Went back into the business about 7 years later, working for Goodness Me as their bakery manager. Learned a lot, had a fabulous time, and then launched the business in 2011.
Because you were still itching to get back out there and get this business going again, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was always a dream to get back into business again.
No, I think that's what's interesting is, you know, why with baking like this, because when you came back again, you were like, this is definitely going to be gluten-free now. You had a few more rules for yourself at that point, right?
Yes.
And that's probably the influence of being at Goodness Me as well, and the experience of the client coming in and out and what they were asking for.
Right. I didn't plan it this way, but while I was at Goodness Me, I was doing a personal study. What are people asking for? What do they want? Everybody wants their cake, and they want to eat it too, right?
Literally, right? People want to have a sweet, and it's amazing how many people who are vegans and who have gluten intolerance, they just say, I haven't eaten something sweet in so long, or I haven't, because some of them just don't taste very good.
Right. And then, so I learned that people are also looking for vegan goodies, and often no sugar. Whether they just want to cut the sugar out of their diet, or they are diabetic, or, you know, trying to lose a few pounds.
Well, and that's the thing, because we're seeing a lot of people, a lot of the prevalences in our you know, in today, right now, again, type 2 diabetes, huge.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Huge for people. So again, a lot of times their doctors are telling them, you know what, you got to get rid of this excess weight, and then that will help you with this, help you control. And then they're thinking, well, I can't eat any of this, but this stuff they can. And again, it's all about, obviously, you know, quantity and just, again, being careful with yourself, because it is still a dessert. But it's amazing how you've come up with something that actually tastes really fantastic, and so people can have that.
Thank you. The slogan or the tagline we put after our name is baking for life. And there's many levels to that. It's not like, oh, this is a life sentence. It's more that everybody wants to eat something that's a treat, you know, after dinner, the little hunger pang you get on your way home from work. But they don't want to blow their diet or eat something that's not good for them, but they still want the sweet. So that was the thrust. If we can bake and add to someone's life, and I don't mean to get all cheesy, but seriously, like if we can add to someone's life by the ingredients that we put in them, because gluten-free doesn't necessarily mean healthy. Gluten-free there's types of flours out there that are still gluten-free, but they're not the best for us. Corn, soy, white rice, right? We don't use any of those. We even grind our own seeds. We grind flax seeds and sunflower seeds into a flour to put into our baking, so that they're getting good fats, good fiber, protein, and,
so they're actually
and it tastes
healthy too.
Yeah,
so again, and that's the one part, you know, and I look at the ingredients on the back of your cards, and it's amazing to me. Okay, so again, all the things that are missing, of course, gluten and dairy and cane sugar, and I love that you use to sweeten dehydrated coconut flour nectar. How did you even come up with that?
It's actually the coconut flour, the FLOWER, produces a nectar, and it's extracted and dehydrated, and commercially it's called coconut sugar, so people identify that as sweet.
Yeah. So that again, so that's how you do it. But a lot of times people don't realize this is quite a science when you're coming up with creating these products, because again, you have to find the right consistency. They need to come out looking like a cookie or a muffin or a brownie. But again, missing all of these things that we don't want in them. Like, again, taking dairy out of and taking gluten out of and eggs out of a product changes it. So, and then also flour, you're not using white flour anymore. That changes everything. So you had to come up with a plan, and you had to come up with a list that everything was going to work.
Wow.
That's a lot of experimenting.
Well, thank you. Lots of patience, lots of prayer, lots of just over and over, back to the drawing board. Okay, this tastes good, but not good enough. Oh, it's not rising high. Oh, it's not baking in the center. You know, whether at one point we made wonderful cookies, but as soon as they walked out the door, like as soon as we delivered them to a store, they were breaking. So many growing pains, and now we've got it down, and I accredit it to patience and perseverance and passion, you know?
Absolutely, it has to be passion to be doing something like this. So let's talk about some of the products that you actually do have for people who are watching and saying, oh, you know what, I am a vegan and I really want one of these right now. Because you have muffins.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk, what flavors you have?
This one is called Chocolate Banana Drama. And we did that with all of them, try to make funky names that are fun and exciting. These have dark chocolate chips in them, of which we've sourced out and found really fabulous ones that are very healthy. And lots of pureed bananas, which we do ourselves.
Nice.
I wanted to make them chunky, but one of our partners, like my husband, actually, he wanted them to be nice and smooth.
Oh, so that's a fight, eh? Yeah, I like the chunky idea too.
Yes. Anyway, and then these are also nut-free, aside from the other things we've talked about.
Sure.
So there's ground sunflower seeds in them. There's brown rice flour in them. There's ground flax, which you cannot taste, but it's in there because it just mixed up with all the other good stuff.
So again, goodness
and
perks.
Yes, and then the coconut sugar to sweeten them. Yeah, and they taste
these ones
yummy.
are high in fiber too, the cranberry ones,
yes,
right?
Yes, we call them I'm on fiber. And we put in extra flax seeds into them because you can't use bran, because bran has wheat, gluten. So if you want, this is like the gluten-free, vegan answer, sugar-free answer to a high fiber muffin. So you get your fiber.
One of my fellow employees here is like dying to have one of these right now because she's vegan and she's like, I want one muffin. And so this is lemon poppy seed?
Yes, yes. And again, similar base as far as the ground sunflower seeds and the ground flax, not as much as these ones because these are higher fiber.
Yep.
Tons of straight lemon juice. So these ones are, like my husband, these are his favorite. If you like lemon, those are your muffin. Oh,
great. And some people are just, again, just loving, you know, can't have that piece of lemon poppy seed loaf or whatever.
Right.
I should show as well, this of course, this is your cute new little branding that you have. And these are actually mixes that you can take home as well. So brownie and then the cookie mix.
Cookie mix, and we have another cookie mix, and we also have an all-purpose mix. And soon coming out is the muffin mixes. These are all like cookies and brownies.
Oh, that's nice. So people can do it themselves. They can take it up to the cottage or whatever and bake with their kids.
Exactly.
That's nice. So it involves the children again as well. And so again, of course, brownies, cookies, there's just so much. And again, availability, we could go onto your website to find out where we can find your product.
Absolutely. There's approximately 40 stores that carry our items right now. Yes. And it's easier to go to the website.
Okay.
Because I could go on and tell you all 40.
And that's how we can find. And of course, I definitely know Goodness Me is local to all of us around here, so you can find them there. And
yes, absolutely.
Thank you for coming on the show. We could talk for hours about this and the benefits. And again, everybody can, of course, have their cake and eat it too. And of course, yes, as you say, baking for life. All right, thanks, Marci. That's it for now. More Terra at home.
TERRA, where color lives.
Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home, and we are in our kitchen today. We're back with Chef Iain, and we are making homemade yogurt today.
DIY yogurt,
Okay, so tell me, why would I make homemade yogurt instead of buying it in the store?
Just again, it's that return to the basics. You know, why buy store-bought when it's a relatively very easy and simple method to use? It's something very close to instant gratification, just a little bit time in some warm heat, and you've got a wonderful cool dessert or a wonderful cool savory dish.
And you know, again, what you put in it, that's the best part about making something at home.
Well said, well said.
Control over it, right?
Right.
Okay, so what are the beginning steps for making yogurt?
Relatively very straightforward. Ultimately, it's a bit of a chemistry experiment. We're going to scald our milk to 180 degrees, and I use a candy thermometer or a deep fryer thermometer for that.
Okay.
I'm agitating the milk ever so slightly. I don't want to incorporate a lot of air into it. I want to make sure that my yogurt's nice and rich and smooth.
Now you've used whole milk.
Whole milk, yes.
Is that, do you have to?
Absolutely. I'm sorry for all those people that, want to pay attention to calorie intake and things like that. I'm all about flavor.
Okay, because that's the thing. So when we talk about milk products, it's amazing how far we've come with the fact that, you can have cream cheese and sour cream and all that, where virtually it's like 0% fat.
Right.
But again, you are losing flavor there. So if you're going to do it, go with the whole milk if you're going to make it. And it's also thicker too, right?
It is. Okay. It really gives a nice creamier texture into the product.
Okay.
To the milk, I've just added 3 tablespoons of a starter. So it's your store-bought yogurt, what you would buy on the shelves. The only thing that I keep in mind is make sure that the packaging says an active bacteria. So ultimately what we're doing right now is the active bacteria are just having a party right now.
So like
in the milk, multiplying.
Ah.
Like I said, we're going to keep our eyes open until it reaches 180 degrees.
Okay.
From there, what we're going to do is once it reaches 180, just as it is right now, we're going to plunge it into an ice bath.
Okay.
And we got to pay close attention again. We're going to make sure that it reads 110 degrees.
Okay.
From there, ultimately, we're going to just pour it into our jars. And what we have to keep in mind is we need to make sure that the jars aren't being moved or touched. It really just needs to be sort of left alone to its devices.
Okay.
And again, for that bacteria to start to multiply and coagulate the milk.
Wow.
So we're left with a nice, rich and creamy product afterwards.
Okay. So again, so you're letting you said down to 110, right?
110 degrees, and ultimately, we're just pouring into our jar thereafter.
Okay. All right. Now, I guess the question is, what came first when you were making yogurt? Way back in the day, they never had starter yogurt. So how did they do that? You couldn't go to the store and bet you who first made yogurt. I'm not going to ask you that for real.
You're very
kind. But it
kind.
makes you kind of wonder, how did it all get started? Obviously, live bacteria culture, and there we go from there.
There you go.
It smells good.
It does. And like I said, again, the only thing that you need to keep in mind is it doesn't move. Once it's in a place, just make sure it's out of reach of hands and
so
kids.
how come though? Why can't it be touched?
Well, just you don't want to agitate it any more than it has to. It just needs to have a chance to sit and rest.
Okay.
And
for how long?
12 hours, ultimately, for the milk to coagulate.
Yeah.
You can have a taste of it after 12 hours.
Yep.
If you want it to be a little more rich and a little more tangy, you can leave it for another 5 hours. Once that's done, it goes into the fridge. Portion it out as you would need be.
So once you've left it out of room temperature for that entire time, it goes into the fridge, and really at that point you can eat it whenever.
Eat it whenever. You've got a good 10 to 12 days, maybe 2 weeks at the utmost.
Really? That
for your
long?
yogurt. Yep,
Oh,
absolutely,
I'm
as long as it's
surprised.
refrigerated.
Okay, all right. So now you're actually going to show us, because we're going to make a sweet and a savory type of, because you can use yogurt for anything, and it's actually a better alternative than using sour cream or something like that. So you're going to make something for us right now,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Okay,
I'm just going to make a classic tzatziki right now. But
right.
again, you can make salad dressings, you can make desserts, you can make all sorts of different things.
Okay.
I mean, we're just going to incorporate our yogurt
Oh, look at that.
with some fresh cucumber.
Okay, you have to show, because that looks so good. You can see how nice and thick that is.
Nice and thick.
That's great.
So from there, we're just going to add a little bit of fresh cucumber.
And that's
If
the
you
thing
wanna-
with the tzatziki's, it's actually really good for you, and it just goes to show you.
It is. It's also sort of embraces my philosophy. I don't like recipes that have a really long ingredient list. Just let the flavors stand for themselves. I'm going to reach across from you. The
smells
best part
so
of
good.
any tzatziki is a little bit of garlic.
Okay.
We'll add that too.
So you just have some
Just to
finely
incorporate.
chopped up garlic, and again, is this something you're going to sit? You're going to leave for a bit just to kind of get the flavors again, right?
What I would do in most cases, if you have a dinner party, you're ready to go out onto the patio, I'd make this a few hours ahead of time and just let the flavors meld.
Okay.
You know, let the garlic incorporate, let the cucumber soften a little bit. And the only other thing that I'm adding to my tzatziki is a little fresh mint. I'm going to reach across from you, sorry about that, and grab a
go for it.
knife. And just a little chiffonade, and we're going to incorporate that into our tzatziki.
Oh, and that's all. And again, it's really nice. Obviously, I mean, we associate a lot of times tzatziki, of course, with it is Greek, and so having it with like grilled chicken, like or like a grilled chicken breast or something like that would be amazing,
Yeah,
right?
grilled chicken.
Pork.
You can do pitas. You can do vegetables and things like that.
Oh, that's really, really great.
Awesome.
Okay, so To go back just a little bit now, we were talking about, obviously from a chef's perspective, you guys love to use because of the flavor in full fats and butters and that, obviously. But say someone really did want to go on the lighter side of milk, can you still make it where it'll actually congeal and be thick enough, or it's a little bit more watery, right?
It'll be a little more watery,
okay.
and I'd be concerned with the consistency and the texture.
Okay.
With a whole milk, with a 3% milk, or even maybe down to a 2% milk, I wouldn't want to do anything less than that, a skim milk. I would just be concerned about the consistency and the texture.
Okay, and that's the thing, and we're loving how thick this is. So we're actually going to take a break in a little bit here. And when we do, we're going to be making something on the sweet side of things. So we're showing that you can use, and instead, again, getting into heavy cream cheeses and things like that, you can take a nice thick yogurt like this. So again, sure, it's going to have a little bit more calorie content than if you did non-fat yogurt or 1% yogurt, but doing a sweet dessert with yogurt too. And it just shows you both sides of the coin. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll take a quick break, we'll come back, and we'll make something sweet for you.
TERRA, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're back with Chef Iain, and we made our homemade yogurt using whole milk. So it's got some good flavor, and it's thick, and it's yummy, and again, great for using for savory and for dessert. So earlier on, we noticed you also put lemon in there too, right? So we
just
had
a little squeeze of lemon. There was some dill and some freshly cut cucumber, a little bit of garlic to add some zing. The best thing to do is leave it a couple of hours just to let it meld together. So like I had said before, you have a party coming in for 5 o'clock, maybe this is something you get underway early afternoon.
Wonderful. Okay, good. So we used, all right, so now we're going to go on to the flip side and we're going to do dessert. So you could have all this in one meal if you want. This looks like fun to me because I'm all about the dessert.
Dessert, you say?
Yes.
Also, it's great for a breakfast as well because, as I said, fresh fruit and yogurt. Very simple. Like I had hinted before with my philosophy, just keep things nice and simple. Let the flavors stand for themselves.
Okay.
Honestly, just a little bit of yogurt, some fresh berries that we add to it, some strawberries that are in season. We add a little bit of chopped almonds.
That's what's great is you could use any combination of berries or fruits, anything you want.
Blackberries, blueberries.
In August, I mean, like, August is wonderful for peaches, so peaches would always be really good with it too, I'm sure. Okay, so you're putting on some serious honey there.
Just a little bit of honey.
Honey
and
looks
again, when
good.
you're at the supermarket, instead of reaching for that familiar bee honey that you see, look to the left and the right. There's some wonderfully clover-infused honeys. Try something new and different.
That's what I was thinking, because you can get lavender honeys, you can do everything, right? And you can have fun with that.
Yes.
Oh, that looks good. So easy, right?
Very easy.
Very good. Okay. So again, you should check out our website because all these recipes will be on there, terragreenhouses.com. And again, it just gives you some options while you're thinking about making homemade yogurt. Why would I make it? Well, then at least you have it. You said it lasts a good, probably a week, you say?
Good solid week to 10 days. Again, it's a staple for salad dressings. You can make a lovely ranch dressing with it. You can make tzatziki's, desserts, breakfasts.
Wonderful.
It's wonderful.
I love it.
It's a great
Thank
staple.
you. Homemade yogurt with Chef Iain. Thanks, Chef Iain. All right, that's it. Have a good weekend.